Alright, aka Patters, we're talking Todd Mcfarlane today. The cringe father, he is cringe. He wants you to pay how much for some of his new action figures? What does this mean and how does it correlate to DC Comics? I will explain it all to you. Can't wait to talk about it. Let's go. Oh, friends, welcome back. Get yourself some Mountain Dew citrus game fuel, because it's like 99% caffeine and sugar. I haven't slept for 72 hours. Let's effing go. And this is how much you drink. It's almost like an hour per sip. Ugh. All right. Friends, family, cohorts, haters, lovers, Peter A. DeLuca here, aka Pad69. Say it with me. Known through Philadelphia, PA, Europe, and the vast multiverse as your eclectic one. You guys seem a little upset about some of these eclectic points of views when it comes to the downfall of the comic book industry. But all of you who have commented on the Omnibuy thread, guys, gals, thank you so much. I respect your time. All of you, if you all kind of have a personal project, and if I could work on that project for free as a thank you, I would. But if any of you are working on anything and you want to collaborate, reach out to me. I'm available. Let me know if you left a comment. I'm not joking. Guys, I believe a rising tide raises all ships. And we're taking that point and we're getting right into it. Now, I'm going to put these two images up. One of them is before Watchmen, and the other one is the Dorothy action figure from the Wizard of Oz Todd Mcfarlane line. Twisted Oz, it was called. I mean, really, Pete, what the heck are we doing? What are we about to get into? When we get into before Watchmen, I knew at that time, and I was, at the time working probably at a comic book shop. I'm not sure exactly what year, but when that dropped, when Before Watchmen came out, I said to myself, this is a lack of editorial direction, mandate, imagination. They're betting on the property whose creator hates the property at that point. If the creator of the work doesn't champion the work anymore because he's been screwed over by said company, so Before Watchmen was just like, it was almost like this, like philosophical, like belief that DC was really scraping the bottom of the barrel. And pretty much since Before Watchmen, they have been in repeated reboots, drifting away from continuity, drifting away from tight character design. They have given attention to some fantastic colorists and writers and artists, but along the way it's not cohesive, it's not part of anything, and it doesn't require your time but no imagination. And then here we have the height of imagination. When these figures dropped, they dropped with the Clive Barker Torture Souls. McFarlane Toys was humming and hawing at the time. They were changing everything. The Twisted Oz figures, from my point of view, they actually did like a Christmas one with this like super scary looking snowman, this jacked reindeer. It was nuts, but it fired your imagination. It would just capture you. But then, like, what happens, right? What happens to DC? What happens to McFarlane Toys? McFarlane Toys eventually sells itself to another Canadian company. Look it up on spawn.com. It is there. Link for that down below, because a lot of you in the previous video did not care to look that up, and you tried to call me out for it. But you become a spokesperson of your own company, and then there's like no imagination left. You get a license, you make figures. You get a license, you make figures. And essentially, this raw idea of pure imagination, to quote Willy Wonka, it just fades away into the night, just like DC Comics did with and after, before Watchmen. So recently, Mcfarlane did this exclusive drop, $44, $45 per action figure. Build a figure. You can build the Monitor from Crisis. Actually, a solid build a figure. The Monitor is one of my all-time favorite dudes, villains in DC history. Just because, from my perspective, the Monitor won. But anyway, and we get this drop. And at one point, the Twisted Oz figures could sell for $40, $50, maybe even $60. If they were made today, they would sell for that. Something comparable, something as imaginative as Twisted Oz could command that $45 price point. But we're getting generic DC action figures at a very high price point. It's a fall of Todd McFarlane. It is a lack of work. It's a lack of gumption. It's a misunderstanding of the marketplace and your place in it. Again, we saw this with poor leadership at DC, and we're seeing it happen in slow motion with Todd McFarlane because, again, that cover contest does nothing. It requires you to promote his product. If Todd McFarlane wanted to expose new young creators, he can go into the interwebbies, find them, give them a good paycheck, give them a good platform, and off you go. But he's not really doing that. And you have to ask yourself, why? I get it. If you want to practice drawing Spawn, you can just do that on your own. You don't need Todd McFarlane to tell you to draw Spawn. You can just practice drawing Spawn on your own. So these $45 action figures, we see a lot of bad takes already on YouTube. A lot of people are saying, oh, they're going to end up at Ross and Marshalls and all these other things. When you're dealing with the volume from major toy companies, you play the entire market. That's really the business model. The way you move product around and the avenues for those products is a part of your compartments of sale. Meaning, you can produce one figure at one price point, and you can trickle the inventory down to these other vendors. You're still making a percentage along the way. It's less of a percentage. And yes, sometimes things get dimed out. But when it comes to corporations and those wonderful taxes, you can write those off as losses and keep going. Guys, this is a part of the development product life cycle / process. This is a part of the rollouts. No, I haven't heard one YouTuber make that point at all. And again, maybe the state of YouTube itself is lacking imagination. So these figures, you cannot fault Todd McFarlane and co. for going for the price point. But what's the bigger idea for the price point? Right now, the average McFarlane Toys action figure, if you would go to your local Target or wherever, Walmart, they're about $25. He's pitching $45. It's a web exclusive, so there's a higher perceived value. Got it, right? But if they sell through a certain percentage of these figures at $45 a pop, they can go back to their retail partners and say, guys, we think you're good. Here's the actuals. Here's the analytics for a $30 price point, a $35 price point. You can add $6 more to this, and we will sell you everything at the same cost. Now, given things are tricky with the economy, they're tricky with inflation. We're dealing with materials that could spike, go down. I believe oil is at a fair value right now, so a lot of oil goes into action figures. So any environmentalist out there that wants to stop the cows from farting and stop eating beef, and you have a wall of action figures, good job on being a hypocrite. But with all of that said, the idea, and this is me speaking to a lot of you out there, a lot of these creatives, because I do feel like we're in this battle together. When you have imagination in your product, you're willing to sacrifice anything to get that idea out there. And that's really what yes, and that's really what Tortured Souls, Twisted Eyes, and those lines of Todd McFarlane were all about. I'm sure he was dumping those at a much smaller percentage. The artistry and the paint jobs and even the packaging, everything was through the roof. It was a legendary run from Todd McFarlane. His fingers, his thumbprints, his fingerprints were all over all of those products, and we bought them and we saw them in admiration. When you have imagination, when you have pure creativity in your product, you will sacrifice anything to get it out the door. When you lack imagination, you believe that people actually want before Watchmen, that it matters. And when you lack imagination, you believe people will hit a $45 price point because of who you are and not the imagination within the product. People, labels are labels. Remember that. In a way, AKAPAD itself, me and everything you guys see from me is a label too. But here's the difference. We're at the imagination stage here for everything you guys see from me. These two, they're done.